Hey, what is up, everybody? steviebreech coming to you. I apologize. My top 10 superstars video from last night cut off after number 3. So right now I'm going to do a little clippity-clip action, and I'm going to fix her up for you. So if you think you've seen this video before, you haven't seen it, I apologize. I left off with number 4, so now we'll get down to number 3, 2, 1. I'll send it through iMovie, and I'll make it look a lot better with like little flashies and stuff. So thank you very much for tuning back in again. Hey, what up, everybody? steviebreech coming to you another video. And just the other day, I was going through all my old videos and seeing what was all on there, and just reading some old comments, this, that, and the other, just doing some boring stuff. I came across a video that me and freaking Yay88 did. This is probably 6-7 months ago, when a real sort of, I guess you can call it, controversial DVD came out. It was the Top 50 Superstars of All Time. As you can see, this DVD was so controversial that mine is still sealed. I didn't really feel like I wanted to pop this in and watch this, but I've heard good things about this. I heard once you get past the list of superstars, you get pretty good little mini biographies on 50 different superstars. Plus, there's other good matches on here. Some of them you can find some other places. Some of them are the first time WWE's put them out on DVD. But I was like going through the comments, and a whole bunch of people were putting up their lists, and so on and so forth. But I never really gave you mine in the video with freaking 88. I just sort of argued like the placement of where guys are. So I guess in lack of me making a video today and not being able to watch the complete ROH show, I just thought I'd throw a curveball and throw this video up on there for my top 10 superstars of all time for the WWE. Little shout out to my buddy Angry Mark, 'cause I guess we're wearing the same style of shades now, and saw a couple of his videos since he's popped up on the scene, and I thought they were pretty good. So go check him out, Angry Mark. Let's go. We'll just start. I guess we go count down, because I guess that builds, some suspense to who number 1 is, and you keep watching. But number 10, this guy, his career just came to a close. He won more titles than anybody else. Number 10 would have to be Edge. I mean, this guy did everything that he was asked to do. He started at the bottom, and he climbed his way towards the top to where he was holding major titles, and he was headlining WrestleMania. He fought in title matches at WrestleMania the last 3 years in a row, I believe, and just have to go with Edge. I think Edge is one of the best superstars out there, so he would have to be in the top 10. My biggest respect for him is that he was a WWE guy, start to finish. He came up through the camps with Torrey Funk, and he just busted his ass, like I said, and he worked his way as a tag champion with Christian, crawled his way all the way to where he was headlining WrestleMania. I mean, there's not many guys you can say that about that, and he was a true WWE guy, which gives that guy some major props. Number 9, I have to go with my favorite wrestler of all time, and it is a tragedy that I couldn't put him higher, because honestly I was fighting to get him a bigger spot. But Triple H. I mean, it's hard to say. I've been saying that I'm going to put on this video for a while. Somebody challenged me. I said it's hard to find more than 5 bad Triple H matches. I will spot you the Randy Orton match at WrestleMania 25. But this guy is always been a big time performer. No matter who you put him in the ring with, he's always going to deliver, and he's always going to have a good match. And many, countless times he's strapped the company on his back and just pulled it through. You can say like 2002. Remember when he was wearing the those weird looking biker shorts that he was wearing as tights? That was because he pulled his groin, and because basically they didn't have anybody else that they trusted to put the strap on at the time to actually go out and deliver them 5-star entertainment for the fans and to make money with. He was going out there and working. So Triple H, I mean, he's the most respected guy in the business. I mean, he's probably the most hated guy on the internet. But people out there love this guy. And they say he's the ring general. He can work with anybody, and yeah, he's the boss's daughter, or he married the boss's daughter. So I give that guy much respect. That that's gotta be tough to do and stay in that business, because everybody's looking at you, and you have to go out there and perform even harder, or everybody's gonna be pointing at you thinking that you only have that spot because who you're sleeping with. Number 8. The Macho Man Randy Savage. This is another guy that I really tried to put higher on the list, but I just couldn't bump the other guys down. This is the guy that strapped the company on the back for the year that Macho Man. I apologize when Macho Man had the title, because Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon wanted to go off and play Hollywood for a while and make a wonderful film called No Holds Barred. That Hulk Hogan wasn't working as many house shows, and they felt they needed the title on somebody else. in order to keep the company going. The company almost went with Ted DiBiase, but due to some circumstances with the Honky Tonk Man, so on and so forth, the belt was put on Savage, and I think that, it paid well. I think DiBiase would have been a great champion, but I think Macho Man was the guy that was like, they really found more things to do with. He went off and he had a feud with Andre, who was coming off the feud with Hogan, and then just rolled through the whole year until WrestleMania 5, which I think is probably the biggest angle of all time for the fact that it was built up for well over a year and a half. That was how long the Mega Powers until they finally exploded, and then they even went on after that and had more matches that were great after WrestleMania 5. One of the Hulkamania DVDs, I believe it's Hulkamania 4, maybe Hulkamania 5. Macho Man and Hogan have a match from Spain, and it is just great. Another DVD, another video that I'm planning for the future is the top 10 videos that I wish they would put out on DVD. As new projects that I think a lot of people will buy and that would be big sellers. And I've always been pumping that they should make a Hulkamania set. That is a little hard with Hogan in TNA. I know they did release the unreleased Hulkamania set when Hogan had joined TNA, but I think that was already in the works and they couldn't really put the brakes on it. They were going to lose a lot of money. But until Hogan's done with TNA, we might not see any more DVD sets. But I think there is money to be made in Hulk Hogan forever. And these guys were just great, and Macho Man deserves a spot at number 8. Moving on to number 7, this is probably one of the most respected guys in the business, the Undertaker. This is the guy that's done everything. This is the guy that made his dues, in the independents and worked his way into WCW, turned that job into a WWE job, and basically created this character called the Undertaker. He might be one of the last gimmick guys that are out there that has really made it big. Most gimmick guys, they hit it off for 6 months. They build up a gimmick, and then it works for 6 months because they've been planning on using him for this one spot the whole time. And then once that falls apart and the angle's over, then they're like, well, what are we gonna do with this guy? And then basically, WWE was able to take this 7-foot guy that they basically turned into a dead guy, and it's still a living gimmick 20 years later. And basically, his ring work has come, it has come along a whole lot since he first got there. He basically just walked around like a dead guy, came off the top rope a couple times, punch and kick kind of guy, and you've seen the matches that he's had with Shawn Michaels and Triple H the last few years at WrestleMania that it's just blown your mind, and that's why I put him so high on the list. Number 6, Bret Hart. Bret Hart's the guy that strapped the company on his back in the bad days of the early 90s, and was able to run with it, before, they decided to put Luger as the main guy, which was just took it even farther down the hole in my mind. But Bret Hart, people think that, he blew a tire when Hulk Hogan took the title from him at WrestleMania 9 in Las Vegas by pretty much, he did the job to Yokozuna, and then basically Hogan swiped in and took it from him. But until that point, even to the point of WrestleMania 11, when he wrestled Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart was the man, and he passed the torch on to Shawn at that time, and guys, it's just great. I mean, the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be is the truth. When it comes to him, he's one of the best ring technicians, the best ring workers that we will ever see, and people that are wrestling now looked up to him so much that you can just see it in the way they wrestle. Number 5. This is a hard one. This is one of the greatest of all times, guys. Ric Flair. And I mean, for what he did for WCW and NWA, to keep a number 2 company when WWF was basically kicking everybody's ass in the late 80s, it means a lot. He had the group, the Four Horsemen. Everybody knows about them. And, Flair is just great. I mean, there's nothing you can do, to top this guy. He's done this, that, and the other. He wrestled in the business for 40 years, maybe longer. Anybody ever really check this guy's birth certificate to see how old this guy is? And he's still doing his thing right now in TNA, and he's still drawing dollars. And I wish he would stop, but hell, wrestling's in his blood, and it's never gonna leave, and that's why he should be higher on this list. But there are other there are other guys out there. I can't believe it. The Rock. At number 4, The Rock is the guy that basically left wrestling and he took off to go to Hollywood, which is the reason why I wanted to put him lower on the list. But when he was a superstar in WWE, even when he came back today, he's somebody that just draws people. People that aren't wrestling fans love The Rock and they want to see more and more and more of him. This guy's promos were electric. His ring work is just crisp. and just everything he does, he has the people in the palm of his hands. You know, if he was to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich out of his fridge right now and take bites, people would be on YouTube on their seats like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Because that's what The Rock did. I mean, all through the Attitude Era, The Rock had everybody in the palm of their hands. He worked as a face, he worked as a heel, and people loved him and hated him for it. And I mean, the amount of people that he brought in, which is all right. Number 3 on my top 10 superstars list has to be Shawn Michaels. I don't think there's anybody out there as good or as great as Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels took over and tried to dig WWE out of the recession that it was in, I guess you can say. I mean, he took over and won the title, became the man of WWF from WrestleMania against Bret Hart in the Iron Man match. And it really, it passed the torch over to, I guess you can say the Clique with him and Diesel, Sean Waltman, X-Pac, and Diesel. These guys as the Clique were, the main guys in WWE, the guys that were putting on, the best matches night in, night out, no matter who they were with, and that's what Shawn Michaels was. Shawn Michaels got to the point of his career at WrestleMania 14 when he had to, hang it up. His back got to the point where, it was broken to the point where he just couldn't be fixed anymore. If Shawn would have left then and not came back, Shawn wouldn't have been as high as on the list as it was, because when Shawn took that time off and he came back and he had the big 2002 when he came back and he won the title, they put the title on him to say, sort of like, thank you for coming back, and we appreciate all the things that you've done before. I think that's why they put the title on. But Shawn, wanted the lighter schedule, didn't really want to, be the man of the company. He didn't mind, being there and wrestling because that was in his blood. It was what he loved. But you can always look at pay-per-views, like when you pick up any, DVD off the shelf, or out of your collection off the wall. You can always look at it. They always have the main event, which is normally the title match. Then you always look at it. You always have the Shawn Michaels match. I mean, it doesn't matter who is wrestling. Doesn't matter if you look at it. Like he was wrestling, Chris Masters on a pay-per-view. It was always going to be, probably either the best match or the second best match of the night. It didn't matter who you put him with. He was always going to deliver, and it was going to be, the best thing out there. Number 2 on the list. This is when it gets controversial. This is when, people are going to say this way or that way. Number 2 would have to be none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin is the guy that, probably made the most money in the WWE in a short period of time. He rode the big boom. Everybody loves Stone Cold for the same reason. Everybody, it doesn't matter how cool your boss is, every once in a while you just want to kick your boss straight in the nuts. And that's what Stone Cold did. He was Stone Cold, he was delivering Stone Cold Stunners to Vince McMahon and anybody else that stood in his way. It didn't matter. He wanted wrestling to be his way, and that's the way it was going to be. He didn't mind throwing up the double birds, and he didn't mind, shouting some language that I guess you can't say on PG anymore. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, I don't know if, wrestling would have changed if he wouldn't have left when he left. He got to the point in his career also where he had an injury that he just couldn't go on anymore. You watch the documentary, that's the Mania of Mania that's on the WrestleMania 19 DVD. No, I apologize, the WrestleMania 20 DVD that's about WrestleMania 19 when he fights The Rock. He's basically to the point where he didn't know if he was going to be wrestling the next night. He had the built-up anxiety where he was doing nothing but drinking rock stars and energy drinks and so on, and he pretty much came down to the point where he pretty much had a stroke, the night before, but he was able to go out there and he was able to deliver because he was fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin. And a lot of people like to say that, he was the punch and kick kind of guy, but if you really look at a lot of his stuff, from before and what he wanted to, especially the matches with Triple H, this guy can really wrestle. He was an old school wrestler. He called it all in the ring, and just the way he brought the fans in, and everybody, still remembers him, loves him to the day. When he shows up on a pay-per-view, a lot of people now think that he's, making the save, like he did for WrestleMania this year. That they were trying to make a bad situation good. I mean, anybody that can make Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler, appealing, here's to it, and he deserves to be a number 2 on the list. Now, number 1. Which is my favorite wrestler of all time, and that's not the reason why I gave it, well, it's a favorite wrestler from my past, Triple H, who was number 9, I believe. He's my favorite wrestler of all time, but this is the guy that I grew up with. I ate the cereal, I took the vitamins, I drank my milk, I said my prayers, all that, because Hulk Hogan said to, and, I don't know if there was anybody else that Vince could have picked in order to ride that rock and wrestling wave. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that could have been the face of the WWF that would have got it to that point. I think Vince McMahon is a very smart man, and he would have been able to make a lot of money with what he was doing. But Hulkamania is what got it to that point. And people were so attached to Hulk Hogan in the past that when Hulk Hogan shows up today, he still has that love and appeal no matter what you are doing. When the NWO turned into the heel faction, there was that good percent of the people that just hated him. But NWO became this cool, hip sort of thing, and people were still loving Hogan no matter how much they hated him. He was still getting, I think of it a lot like John Cena, who I think you can notice who's not on this list. When I go see John Cena, I love to boo the shit out of him when he gets in there. But when his match happens, this sort of magical thing happens, and I get, involved into his match. By the time he hits the 5-knuckle shuffle and, the 3 count and he's walking to the back, I'm cheering for this guy before I even realize, hey, well, wait a minute, I don't really like this guy that much. I don't know what it is, but Hulk Hogan, is the guy that had that before Cena did when he was in heel in WCW. And you can tell just, how, big this guy is when he came back to WWE after so long, and he mixed it up with The Rock, and he was supposed to be the heel of the thing, and just he got the overwhelming response that we've wanted Hulk Hogan back from WWF for so long, and now that he's finally here, I don't care what side of the line he's on, he's our favorite, and he's gonna do it. Yeah, they shouldn't have put the title on him in 2002. That was probably a mistake. But Vince has brought this guy back as many times as he can. He's over in TNA right now, which would make a lot of videos on that he shouldn't be. But I mean, this guy can make anything good. He's just not able to do it with TNA because I don't think anybody could do it. I don't think if you put John Cena over there, if you put The Rock over there, I think you would get the big, rise. People would take notice and they would care. But I don't think it would last. I think it would just TNA is TNA. That ship is just not going to do it. So I apologize that it took 2 days and 2 uploads to get this done, but I'm going to be getting this up, and I appreciate anybody who made it to this point of the video. Thank you very much.